We're 100 today! We tried to get that in unison.
That
but
was
didn't work.
supposed to go
Ready?
in
Let's
unison.
do it again.
We're
100 today!
Yes.
We nailed it.
Yes, this is our 100th episode, and we're so proud because it's only been, 7 months?
Yeah, we've showed up. We've been consistent. We love
have,
talking
even
with you guys.
COVID and lots of other interpersonal issues. So we're here. So my name is Katie Hutchinson, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and also a certified mediator.
And I'm Lindsey Kearns, the mama behind MalibuMamaLoves.com, and I'm also a certified conscious trauma-informed life coach. You guys, trauma affects so many people, and the effects of this unhealed trauma can be devastating in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they don't even know it's happening, you know, because this trauma lays embedded for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It can lead to addictive personality issues. It can lead to poor decision making.
Yeah, it can lead to addiction, definitely addiction, and
it triggers real physical pain in people.
it does. It's actually, it can make you have all kinds of health issues
and destructive behaviors.
Yes, and because I say this all the time, because you can't see it does not mean that it's not real.
Right.
So we're going to talk about the traits of these people, but you know, almost always there's depression and there's anxiety and whatever else, and I always say that it's in some ways just as bad or worse than a physical condition, depending on what that is, because it's chronic. So when it hits you, like it hit me at 19, and then it's never gone away.
But you don't even know what hits you. You know what I mean? And that's why I want to take this time and go over some of the signs of the unhealed traumas, because things can be happening and you don't even realize it. It's happening because of your unhealed traumas.
Exactly. So many different things. And one other thing I just want to say is it's like, I always liken it to a pot of water, and it's just simmering, and that's the trauma. It's just simmering, and you've got a top on the pot of water, simmering. And if you keep it in, you keep it, it's just so hard. If you don't start to talk about it and deal with it, eventually it starts to boil like crazy, and it comes over the edges.
Explodes.
The pan, right? Exploding, going into the fire and creating damage.
Which is actually the first sign. And that's if you are having or experiencing like panic attacks or anxiety during really normal situations where you're like, wait a minute, why am I triggered? Why am I feeling this way? You're questioning it. You're having a full-blown panic attack in something that you should be able to do with your eyes closed. That's a sign. That's a major sign of unhealed trauma. Like she said, just kind of simmering, getting ready to boil over.
Yeah.
That explosion, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, and then this feeling of shame is just so awful. I mean, shame and embarrassment and guilt. And I think of like sexual assault and just people not talking about it and the Me Too era and all of this and just the embarrassment. And there shouldn't be embarrassment. You know what I mean? Because there's no shame in it. Nobody asked for this.
But the thing I want to talk about with the shame, and I want you to talk a little bit more about, is that like, you would be experiencing shame, but have no reason why. You didn't do anything wrong, but you just are withholding all these shameful, embarrassing feelings, and you don't understand them. There was no action that you felt you did that you should be feeling the shame from.
Right.
And it's super confusing.
Because they put it usually into like, I liken it to a box in your head or a little, whatever you want to say it is. But so I'll give you a story about, I think is a great example, and that's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And I kind of always thought he did it, quite honestly, especially after it happened the second time.
But you know what, with him, I can't even imagine what was done to him
know.
growing up. Like that poor person did not have a fighting chance.
No, I'm
so
sure.
I really believe he did all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. So there's something called Leaving Neverland. Did you watch it?
No, I haven't.
I told you to watch it. It's a very interesting documentary, and it left me going, oh, there is no way he didn't do this. And
I need you to come over and do my list, and then I'll watch all of these.
I watch all these. Yes, I have good stuff that I watch. But anyways, the two of the boys who were molested, they were just talking. And even one of the boys even testified on that second allegation, testified for him saying that he was nothing ever happened, that he was never touched, nothing sexually.
Yeah.
But what happened was they were talking about how he was grooming them, and then like sodomized them, et cetera, et cetera. And this went on for years. And they both said the same thing, which I found to be so interesting. They each had a child. I want to say they were both boys, but I can't say for certain. And that was a trigger for both of them. And that's when they had a complete breakdown and it all came out. Because of the shame and the guilt, they just put it away in a lockbox or a, I was about to say Cuisinart. That's not what I'm looking for. But they just...
We want to put it into the Cuisinart.
Exactly. But they just put it away in their brain and they just refused to acknowledge it. But the children were a trigger. You see your children and it's like, that's not happening to them. So,
and it is interesting. It happens, but that's a great example because it's a really like something people can understand and really shows like they lived till they were in their 20s, and then all of a sudden 30s they had a baby, and boom.
Yep.
I knew a woman in her 60s for 60 years. Anytime she would smell popcorn, she'd have a really weird reaction, and she thought she was just weird, like she had no. But the reaction was pretty intense, like the stopping of the breathing, like a panic attack.
In addition, she
just
couldn't
from
go to
smell.
movies.
No, not at all. No, it's true.
Because the whole place was smelling popcorn.
Yeah, and it would put her into a full-fledged panic. And she never ate, like, popcorn. What? In her 60s, she discovered that an extremely traumatic event that involved molestation had involved the popcorn.
Oh, dear.
And from that, she withheld that for 60 years.
And did she know,
or
though?
50 years
Did
at
she
least.
know? Or was
it all came out in her 60s and I mean, so it's examples like that you guys, this does happen. Happened to me. I know it happened to you in your divorce. You know, all of a sudden you realize I got very depressed and isolated for a long time.
Me too.
Before I realized that I was carrying a tremendous amount of unhealed trauma. I had no idea.
I knew it was unhealed.
And that's a massive
It's a
symptom.
major problem.
Yeah.
It's
The
shame
chronic
and
and
the guilt.
ongoing depression too, though. If you're experiencing that, that's a huge sign that there's some unhealed trauma stinking around in there.
And this doesn't have to be actually huge. I think like when I was growing up, my childhood was chaotic. Divorced at a young age, and I've already told you my mother was a Scientologist. Whatever. And so
she's not still though. That was just for a few minutes, right?
It wasn't for a few minutes. It was a number of years, and then they never left us alone. Are you guys gonna leave snakes in my mailbox? Because that's what you do.
Peace
So
and love.
please don't.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Just please don't leave snakes. So that kind of trauma triggered for me. I think that was underlying when I started having panic attacks in college, and that wasn't. Well, I guess it was a big deal. I shouldn't say it wasn't a big deal,
really
but I
deeply with that all of a sudden, and you were trying to carry a heavy student load.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, of work and effort, and that's really
Socially
hard.
and all
So
of that.
if you are stuck with that depression, that is a sign of unhealed trauma. You're not. It's not going to clear itself out. You've got to do the hard work, unfortunately, to get yourself there.
It's either major trauma, which we're talking about, or it's chemical. And right now we're talking about.
Well, either or, but this is just, this is just the symptoms. Like if you're noticing this in your body, something is going on. Please go to the doctor, call a therapist or a psychiatrist, whatever you feel comfortable with. These are just symptoms. If you identify with this stuff, if you identify with the panic attacks in college, we're telling you that you don't have to live that way. It's not the way it's supposed to be. You've got some work that you have to do, and that's okay. We all have to.
We all have to forever. I mean, awareness is key. So another thing is sleeping. And I can tell you, after my lovely divorce, it's been 7 years. I can't sleep. Like, I just can't sleep like I used to. So that's
whether you struggle with falling asleep, staying asleep,
or all of the above.
All of the above, and also finding the time to sleep.
Or
all
waking
of
up
those
too early
are
all the
signs
time.
Of unhealed trauma because your body isn't allowing itself to rest.
No, and we've talked before. That's the only time that your immune system is really,
it's super
fighting
important.
So anyway,
you need to have that sleep.
Yeah.
So another one, and this one I do. You're gonna laugh when I bring up this one because you yell at me all the time for this.
Okay.
It's avoidance.
Oh,
avoidance.
Yes.
If you're practicing avoidance of people, places, my phone.
Avoidance.
I avoid my phone. I avoid the bills. I avoid
the bills too. Sorry, I guess we need to talk about financial advice or maybe we shouldn't.
But even sometimes correspondence because it can feel so overwhelming. And I was like this for years, and I had to realize when I went through all of that healing process and identifying what was going on with me that is something that I do. I avoid and I disassociate. For me, all of a sudden, it won't seem real. And if you're walking around, like I've called you sometimes and I've been like, it doesn't feel real right now. I feel like I'm in a dream, like this fog. And that is my trauma, my CPTSD coming out, right? And playing games with me, playing tricks on me and making it even harder to go.
She doesn't even answer. You can't even leave a message for her.
But that's, I get like that, but that's a trauma response. That's me, my body protecting myself,
you coping
trying
with
to
it.
keep me safe.
Yeah.
But the reality is,
You're
it's
not dealing with it. But that's true. It is
but
your
it's
body
just an honest
keeping you
example.
safe.
You know what I mean? That, I'm not doing anything to hurt,
Yeah.
but I'm doing something to keep myself safe. That's not healthy. That's so not healthy. And I struggle with that. I can be honest about that. I struggle with that still now to this day.
Yeah.
I think I just cleared out my voicemail yesterday. Took me like 10 minutes.
Can't
I'll
leave
never
her a
get those
message.
back.
Just don't even try. Oh my gosh. Okay. So
Okay,
what else?
So sleeping, addictions. So you got to talk to this one because this can lead to addictions, eating disorders.
Yeah. So eating disorders are one of my specialties. So addictions, eating disorders, OCD. I always say eating disorders are actually under anxiety because that's really the underlying issue. But anyways, with eating disorders, the amount of people that have been sexually assaulted is so high.
I think I kind of feel like, and you can talk more to this, it's like a control mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
A way of controlling themselves when they're feeling out of control and they're just trying to numb that pain.
It is like that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is a control thing. But underneath it all, usually there is trauma, and so many times it's sexual assault. And I don't know the percentage, but it's very high.
Yeah, that's awful. Flashbacks, nightmares, body memories that like all of a sudden you'll be walking down the street and you walk past a place that maybe an incident happened in, or you might not even know it, but your body does, and it just tenses up. These are all signs that you are carrying unhealed trauma with you.
Exactly. So suicidal thoughts. I mean, doesn't mean they're going to commit suicide, but if you don't deal with it, it can happen.
But it's a trauma response. Like, okay, I just can't handle anymore.
No.
I'm just going to check out, go to the next place, and I can't do it anymore.
That's why awareness and acknowledgement is key, and then being active about it.
An inability to really control your emotions. If you fly off the handle, or if you burst into tears, or if you laugh when it's not really appropriate, this is a sign.
Yeah, it's called the labile emotions, and it's like if you go from being totally happy to being insanely angry, like that, it doesn't mean that you're bipolar necessary. You could be dealing with unhealed trauma.
And again, this is our body's way of trying to keep us safe. So it is amazing, but it is confining, and it does hold us back because there's no threat in a lot of those moments, and it's just a memory that we need to fix and heal.
And it's funny. A physical example of this I'm just going to bring up what happened to my friend the other day. Is her son was hit on a bike with a car, and he said he felt nothing. And that's our adrenaline, right? That's our body kicking in so that he could survive, and not feel that. Now, is he going to feel it later? Yes, and it's.
But in the moment, it's that your body has this incredible capacity to keep you safe, to help make sure you get where you need to go.
Yep.
And it's incredible. So we need to be super aware of ourselves and our actions. And that's how we can start to heal this unhealed trauma.
I agree. What else do we have?
Being hyper vigilant, right?
Yeah. You're always looking over your shoulder, or walking on eggshells, or thinking something, alarmed over like a sound, and there's no reason to be alarmed.
I'm like that. People with me all get irritated because I do like jump at everything. That's why my phone is usually the buzzers are really low, because I get startled so easily.
Yep, I do too.
Self-harm happens. If you're self-harming, I mean, come on. We know that's trauma. Please get some help. Please get some help.
I agree. You're just taking the thoughts and turning them into a physical release when you cut. So you're in pain here, and then you just cut yourself, and you feel better, because then you have to pay attention in the cut.
Yeah. So, if you have unexplained or irrational fears, a lot of times that is a huge sign. If you're very paranoid, but there's really no reason to be. No one's watching
Delusions.
you. Those are huge.
Uncontrollable anger / irritability, and now I've seen this with people, and it's like craziness. So and it's sad. It's horrible to not be able to control your emotions at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Or to handle conflict in any way.
Mhm.
You know, we all have our ways. I mean, I'm not great in the moment of conflict. I'll definitely turn to emailing, but I'll address it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If you're not even addressing it, or if you hear conflict and you have to run away and meditate for 2 hours and like not respond, and that's not healthy. That's going to bite you in the butt in the long run.
Well, we're all going to deal with conflict continually in life. So,
Yeah,
yes, it's very
unfortunately.
important. I know.
We
but
need
it's
our
life.
islands.
It's life.
I don't want conflict.
We talk about an island of utopia, so maybe that will happen. And then we'll invite all of you.
So yeah, if you guys have experienced any of this stuff, these are signs that there is unhealed trauma happening to you.
Mhm.
So for our 100th episode, as a thank you to us,
Yes.
please go and speak out and talk about it.
Mhm.
Have these conversations this weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. We're all going to be
Mhm.
having, you know, barbecues and time with friends and family.
Mhm.
Talk about these things.
Mhm.
Open up about them.
Mhm.
It's okay. Almost all of us at some point have experienced some form of trauma.
And if you haven't, you're going to, sadly.
So there's nothing to be ashamed about. We need to start talking about it so that we can alleviate these painful feelings.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, you guys. So with that, happy
Yeah.
Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day.
Happy 100th episode.
Yes.
I'm
so
so
we
proud
won't
of
see
you.
them on Monday.
We will not see you on Monday
won't
because
see you
it's
on
Labor Day, and
Sorry.
we're
We'll be
hoping
barbecuing.
we're hoping you guys are outside enjoying the beautiful weather. Oh God, it's
Is
been
it
so
beautiful?
hot here.
It's so beautiful here.
We're in a heat wave.
We're in
I don't know how the
major
rest
heat
of America is, but we're melting.
Exactly. We're melting.
But we'll be back.
and we have a huge drought. It's awesome here.
But we will be back on Wednesday. All
Yes.
right. So you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Be happy.
Happy Labor Day.
See you.
Bye.